So the other day I received a commission for a barbarian character who is inspired by the Doomslayer from the popular video game, obviously. And this was a bit different from my normal commissions, mostly because I usually receive large group posters or party shots. But I was definitely excited for this because, I don't know why, but a simpler character is a lot more fun for me to kind of explore and mess around with than one that's hyper defined, I guess. I don't know. And plus, I'm a big fan of barbarians. It's all that I play when I play D&D is barbarians usually. Please ignore the ranger I'm playing right now. Anyways, back on what we're doing here. So a lot of the kind of how the process goes is once I've received the commission from the client and I review their instructions, I'll then go through that and try to look for any other questions or any other details I think that I need or they missed, that kind of thing. I'll grill them until they've got nothing left, get as many picture references from them as I can, and I go from there. After that, I will then gather as many photos and other things I think are relevant to kind of inspire me as I go. But the curious thing about this piece to start was mostly how it seems so simple at the start, and I was locked in. I was really into it. But the actual sketch, as I am showing on the screen here, which I unfortunately did not record, that's on me. I'm still getting used to recording my artwork, the process, and all that. It was a very difficult pose. Even though, so static poses, they look super simple. They look very straightforward, very neutral, but they are honestly some of the hardest poses to draw because making human anatomy look natural and living while in a non-moving or non-expressive pose is often probably one of the hardest things to nail, in my opinion. So I was really struggling with the static pose and making sure that the standing actually looked anatomically correct and also like fit into the 3D space, or what's the word I'm looking for? The perspective looked proper. Because a problem with static poses a lot of the time is the character doesn't look like they're actually in a 3D space. Even if you aren't doing a full background, they kind of have like a flat look to them. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. They just look flat. So most of the time I was really struggling with making sure that the flatness was removed and he still looked like he was standing in a real area despite not being in a background. Normally I do work with backgrounds, but in this case it was refreshing to get a plain, just straight up character design, kind of more on the concept art look for this piece. So that was fun to do. And this whole time, there's a point in certain pieces where you kind of get in the zone. Sometimes you never quite get there in whatever you're drawing, whatever you're doing. Especially for me, I kind of struggle to get into that zone. And it could be because I challenge myself to do something difficult or new with each piece. I don't know, it could just be me, but this one felt really in my comfort zone following that sketch, which I really wish I had recorded because that was tough to get that down. Even though it looked all messy and squiggly, it was a challenge to get right. But once I had it, the details really just came out. They came out fully formed. I didn't really have a hard time figuring out where things went or what to do. Now, usually at that point where I'm in the kind of the sketch, I guess the rough stage following the sketch is when I'll be finding more references that I need to look over and other things I think are necessary to fit the pose, to get the muscles, the anatomy right. That's where a lot of those references come in. Most of them I don't just get up right off the bat. I usually have to find something. I have to find something later that fits what I need. Now this is the point where we get to the fun stuff. more of the creative side. I mean, obviously it's all creative, but this is more on trying to find where the lighting's going to come from, what colors I'm going to use, some design elements, kind of the style, I guess. And I may go more into depth later on this, or maybe in another video, but I am trying to emulate kind of the original, not original, I'm trying to emulate the D&D 4E art style, or kind of the kind of more retro or old-fashioned look that concept art used to have back in the day. I mean, not back in the day. I mean, even if you look at the concept art from Skyrim, for example, I just really love that rough concept art feel that a lot of the best made games have. Those artists that were pumping out so much work, and they created these absolutely gorgeous pieces that were then used by the 3D modelers and the coders and other stuff to recreate in the game. And I love the quality that those pieces have, even though they're technically not finished pieces since they're concept art. That's kind of the style I've been trying to emulate recently. And there's a number of artists that I'm also trying to learn from that I may discuss later. But for the most part, that's the look I'm going for. And things are kind of dark, but there's still like bright lighting. I really want to try to make things feel a bit more 3D, I guess, with the coloring. So I will go outside of the line art I did and add some lighting or add some lighter colors to emphasize a part as being further out. So I'm still learning this style, I would say. I'm trying to figure out how to blend the line art with trying to make things look more like a fully rendered painting. But I was extremely satisfied with the way this piece turned out in terms of the style that I was going for, and it really fit the character quite well. The texture, like the grittiness and the darker shadows, really helped kind of establish the character's personality and such, which is another thing that I actually really enjoy getting details on from the client. The more I learn about the personality or the way they play the character, it actually really informs the pose, even if they gave me a specific pose like this one did. It helps me to kind of get a feel for what the character should be looking like or doing. And usually it helps create a picture that's pretty accurate to what the client is imagining. I've noticed that a lot of the time the client has told me I've kind of nailed how they saw it in their head, which is obviously the goal. So that's always exciting when that happens. This final version was not the version I had sent to the client. They actually came back with some additional changes, and that's pretty normal to expect. I normally get revisions, usually small things, but that is also usually the time where the client either remembers something important that they forgot, or I somehow asked a question that made them remember something that I need to go back in and add. I do love to go above and beyond with my pieces to make sure that the client is satisfied and I've hit everything, even if that means I have to do a little extra work. I don't mind that usually. This time it turned out pretty good. I've had some pieces where the revised version just looks awful. Like we had to change most of the colors, we had to change a variety of things, a facial expression, just kind of last minute, and it's very patchwork. But with this one, I had to add the sleeve, the tattoo sleeve, and the wispy magic that surrounds the character, as you can see. I had forgotten, and I think the client did too, that the Barbarian was actually an Ancestral Guardian subclass. And so last minute I had to go in and add that, and the effect actually looks pretty good and actually well rounds the whole illustration, and I really like how the colors turned out. The sleeve, I was sad, kind of covered up a lot of the anatomy work that I had done, but other than that, it really did kind of fit the character well, and the design turned out good. So I was pretty happy with it, and I didn't have to do the classic, turn the revised piece into the client, but I keep/post the original version. So there you have it. That's the full process and a little bit of a commentary on my thought process and kind of the commission process itself, as well as reference gathering. Each of those things I could probably do a longer explanation of, but this video is my first one, and more so a way to practice actually cataloging and recording what I do. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed.